to whitewash the investigation into 9/11. That is why I'm bringing up Iran-Contra and Israel.
And Israel was
People
involved in
involved
Operation
Iran-Contra
Watchtower
were also
too,
part
folks.
of the continuity of government, an emergency backup government that became a shadow government. The Contra operation was run out of the office of the Vice President by former CIA Director George Bush Sr. George Bush Sr. was the director when the CIA was preparing intelligence cells in Pakistan and Afghanistan to fight a proxy war with the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. Call them modern privateers.
In the early 1980s, bin Laden worked with operatives from U.S. intelligence, the Pakistani military, and Arab states. They ran a wide-ranging covert network that recruited and financed Muslim fighters to battle the Soviet army.
These units were used again to finance 9/11 hijackers, who were under the protection by top officials, Chertoff and Goss, who intentionally stifled FBI attempts to investigate members of these cells,
John
thus
O'Neill.
ensuring 9/11's success.
Anthony
The
Shaver.
question is, did the privateers double-cross the U.S. in a form of blowback, or was it jointly planned? It was planned and assisted. Not only were the bagmen who financed the operation protected, the hijackers themselves were relocated 2 steps ahead of the FBI, thanks to the Israelis' phone taps and monitoring of both the feds and the hijackers themselves.
Some American terrorism investigators fear certain suspects in the September 11th attacks may have managed to stay ahead of them by knowing who and when investigators are calling on the telephone. And what troubles investigators most, particularly in New York in the counterterrorism investigation of the World Trade Center attack, is that on a number of cases, suspects that they had sought to wiretap and surveil immediately changed their telecommunications processes. They started acting much differently as soon as those supposedly secret wiretaps went into place.
They also monitored the airports and planes. Those were needed to explain and justify the event. The assured damage was done by bombs within the buildings. As you will see later, bombs and bombers were found on 9/11. The bombers were released, and the steel from the building was quickly destroyed, shipped off to China and India. There is no way this was done simply as a double cross. No one but the government itself would have the means to do something like run a drill of the exact scenario of 9/11 on 9/11 to ensure that interceptors would be too far away and confused to stop the planes. Dick Cheney, Vice President and husband of the President of Lockheed Martin and longtime member of Project 908, purposely held back defense until it was too late to act. Bin Laden did not have the authority or power to force FBI agents off of his trail. Bin Laden didn't have the means to set up a false flag and steal anthrax from within American labs and take credit for it with his hijackers and associate it to Iraq to falsely lead America into believing that Iraq and Al-Qaeda were together and start a war there to bog down American forces. The U.S. and Israel did that all on their own. The U.S. government provided protection, Pakistan the money, Israel bombs, and Saudi Arabia provided some bodies, useful idiots being guided by Mossad within the hijacker cells. A lot like the Oklahoma City bombing, where the FBI's COINTELPRO were actually directing the racist groups and practically creating the terrorism themselves, needing to be embedded in a group merely so that there would be some form of patsy to blame it on.
One explosion caused, because here's now what we are starting to learn about the succession, or what someone obviously hoped would be a succession of explosions. The first bomb that was in the federal building did go off. It did the damage that you see right there. The second explosive was found and diffused. The third explosive that was found, and they are working on right now as we speak, I understand, both the second and third explosives, if you can imagine this, were larger than the first.
He told us the operatives had been instructed to ensure that the explosives went off at a point that was high enough to prevent people trapped above from escaping.
Within the hijacker cells were leaders who were not idiots, but operatives guiding the attack. These men used fake passports and planted evidence after the attack to create a paper trail in the direction that they wanted. Mohammed Atta, or the man claiming to be him, was certainly one of these operatives and never boarded his final flight. He probably dressed as a crewman and slipped onto another flight, ultimately leaving the country. That's my speculation. Just a moment, you say. Wouldn't this be in the media? Bombs in 9/11? Israeli Mossad agents spying on the hijackers and the Fed helping the hijackers? Money from Pakistan and Saudi hijackers? Surely the news media would uncover this, right? More like cover it up than uncover it. One must understand that TV media is state-run. They lied uniformly to create a war with Iraq. The 9/11 wasn't just about starting wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Those wars are part of a larger plan for a new century. We'll be diving into that later. 9/11 is hiding trillions in unexplained funds. How could this be covered up by the press? 2,900 American civilians were attacked and killed that day. Well, I have a newsflash for you. Israel attacks and illegally occupies people every day, and that's not on the news either. In fact, with the same mentality of a rapist, they blame the victims. Before discussing 9/11 further, I think it's crucial to get around this media issue. In order to understand the events of 9/11, you'll have to come to terms with our mass media and their undeniable complacency and willingness to lie to the public. What you won't see in the U.S. media.
Carl, what about this question of advanced knowledge of what was going to happen on 9/11? How clear are investigators that some Israeli agents may have known something?
Well, it's very explosive information, obviously, and there's a great deal of evidence that they say they have collected. None of it necessarily conclusive. It's more when they put it all together. A bigger question, they say, is how could they not have known? Almost a direct quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you some clips of the truck bombings in case you forgot or never saw them or don't believe me. And also pay attention to these live reports about explosions at the base, the lobby, the basement of the building. These are reports from eyewitnesses, survivors, firemen, police, and the FBI. This would all get a nice church-off whitewashing and be replaced by pancake theories on one extreme, and this information ranging from everything from Bavarian death cults to space aliens on the other.
If you're not going to, and this to Alex Jones, right here on the film, if you're not talking about Israel, then you are not really talking about 9/11. Now, Alex just did a nice piece talking about Glenn Beck, how Glenn Beck's taking all of Alex's research and doing it, but how Glenn Beck is spinning it for the media, spinning it to get people to fight each other, to hate each other, but Alex Jones is doing the same thing. And that's why, folks, because I talk honestly about Israel, but it's not about hate. It's not about hate. You don't hate somebody because they were born into a screwed religion, whether that's Judaism or Muslims, and you Christians are no better. You are no better than the Jews and the Israelites. If you want to go out and kill everybody in Iraq, kill everybody in Mexico, kill all the Jews, kill. That's what they want you to do. We've been in Armageddon for the last 6 million. 6 million in World War II, and just the Jews, 50 million in Russia. How many in Afghanistan? How many in anywhere else? How many? We've killed 100 million people this century. Maybe the mainstream media isn't telling you about Israel's involvement in here. It's not telling you about how they've ripped your ass. And by the way, even Bernie Madoff, one of the biggest Jewish crooks out there, has now come out with a statement. A statement with on mainstream news that the United States government is a Ponzi scheme. Oh my God. Let's see, let me do this. Let me just take a little commercial break, because I've told you now that the war on drugs is a farce. The CIA is running the drugs. The Mossad is running the Israel is producing all of the ecstasy, and the Mossad is running it over here, folks. You know, told you about that. And Oh, let's see. Okay, you don't want to cooperate. You don't want to. You're trying to hold out. You're trying to go in business for yourself. Okay, we'll put you in a labor camp. We'll charge you with possession of marijuana, and we'll put you in a labor camp. How about that? For what? For what, folks? Because you got a joint in your car, or we can confiscate your car, or we can charge you $500, or we can put you in jail for that. Oh, you had what, were you trying to sell it? Oh, well, let's see. If you're the drug dealer, then you know who all of the people that are buying from you, so it's easy to turn them in, isn't it? And all of this war on drugs started with in the 30s with the theft of our #1 cash crop. What was it?
Warning for all Gulf Coast disaster survivors. Be aware that dangerous...
Yeah, no, let me see. Here.
If your body isn't feeling too well these days, you're gonna start taking this hemp, I say. Go to hempusa.org. You may not like what I'm about to say, but you know I'm gonna say it anyway. The government doesn't want the best for you. They keep you down, they keep you blue. They starve your body for all its nutrients. They won't let you grow industrial hemp. It really doesn't make any kind of sense when it's so healthy for the world and useful for you, my friends. I hope Mr. Bush will hear this song for the heart of America. This one, go to hempusa.org. If you're a truther, an anarchist, or renegade, you only want things that God has made. Go to hempusa.org. We offer free shipping anywhere in the States. Go to hempusa.org.
All right, and if you want to stop drinking that fluoride in your water, reverse osmosis. Find a water store that processes their water through using reverse osmosis, and that will remove the fluoride and a little bit of the poisons that they've been feeding you. The best way, and if you're taking hemp, you are restoring your body's immunity system. Hemp was one of the best food. If we were feeding hemp to our cattle and to our chickens, and we were eating that food, and we weren't using all of these steroids and this and the vaccinations, then we'd be a hell of a lot healthier than we are. Let's see, Alex Jones. Well, you're not talking about Israel. You're not talking about Jewish connection. Why? Because your wife's Jewish. That don't mean she's a bad person. Beautiful lady, and I don't blame you for wanting to protect her. But it ain't just the government. This is the Mossad. These are Zionists. Whatever you want to talk about, they ain't. And that don't mean all. In my opinion, all Jews aren't bad. They are just born into that particular segment of society, and any more than all blacks are bad, or all Arabs are ragheads, are all Muslims, throwing rocks at little women. No, it's the governments that are corrupt, and hopefully the people in Egypt won't be taken in by simply another CIA operative, like they've been running their country for the last 30 years. Let's go back to the film.
Okay, all right? Here, move.
Oh yeah, now this is two firefighters This is a clip of two firefighters talking right outside the South Tower. We lost almost 900 firefighters. They let them go in that building to try to rescue people. They set the explosive, and then they brought it down on them. And well, 900. They didn't all die when the towers fell. A lot of them have been killed by the radioactivity or the dust or the asbestos that was. Very heavily in 9/11.
We can make calls right now.
We just heard another explosion. They're handing out gloves and masks.
This is CNN taking and they're filming outside the World Trade Center, and there's explosion at the basement level, just like William Rodriguez said. He was the janitor in the North Tower, last man out, dove under a fire truck. Building fell on the fire truck. They pulled him out, and then all four tires on the fire truck exploded.
To the scene of that attack, Pat.
Just moments ago, I spoke to the chief of safety for the New York City Fire Department. He received word of the possibility of a secondary device, that is another bomb going off. He tried to get his men out as quickly as he could, but he said that there was another explosion which took place. And then an hour after the first hit here, with the first crash that took place, he said, there was another explosion that took place in one of the towers here. According to his theory, he thinks that there were actually devices that were planted in the building. The second device he speculates, was probably planted in the building.
But as soon as I got outside, I heard a second explosion and another rumble. And then a fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a third explosion, this building might not last.
And you were working there? Yes, I was right there. I was down in the basement, came down, all of a sudden the elevator blew up, smoke. I dragged the guy out, his skin was hanging off, and I dragged him out, and I helped him out to the ambulance.
Thank you. Right? He said that they saw an airliner going to one of those towers. Then, an hour later than that, we had that big explosion, but much, much lower. I don't know what on earth caused that.
We've heard reports of secondary explosions after the aircraft impacted, whether in fact there wasn't something else at the base of the towers that in fact were the coup de grace to bring them to the ground.
Do we have Jim Smith available on microphone from Chopper 2 as he takes these pictures? Jim?
Yes, I am here, Michael.
Jim, tell us what's happening out there.
We just witnessed some kind of secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center number 2, the one that is on the south that is difficult to make out.
As effective as a bomb being dropped there were two bombs in effect. Commercial airliners flown into those two buildings, and they came down. We presume because of the initial explosion there may have been secondary explosions as well that were detonated in the building by these terrorists.
That would put us about a block and a half away from the site of where the
And by the way, that was Tom Brokaw. Somebody sent him anthrax after doing that.
Explosion was. That area has just been evacuated because police have found what they describe as a suspicious device, and they fear that it might be something that could lead to another explosion. Obviously, there's a real sense of caution here on the part of police. I spoke with some police officials moments ago, Chris, and they told me...
Oh, and let's see, who's the broadcaster here? Oh yeah, they didn't like that either. His name was Rick Sanchez, and the Mossad media took him out too. Oh, he made anti-Semitic.
Reason to believe that one of the explosions at the World Trade Center, aside from the ones that may have been caused by the impact of the plane with the building, may have been caused by a van that was parked in the building that may have had some type of explosive device in it. So their fear is that there may have been explosive device planted either in the building or in the adjacent area.
I think a bomb went off in the lobby first, then a plane hit the building, then another plane hit the other building. And when I was coming through the doors on the other side of the Trade Center, either they blew the lobby up or something, because it blew the glass out of the doors and knocked us all down, and I got smoke and everything on me. I just feel a little shook up because I got blasted, you know.
The ladies that are with me were in the World Trade Center in the first building and escaped through the lobby where they believe there was a bomb in the lobby. And even the turnstile was burnt and it was sticking up, and they just told us to run. And as we were coming out, we passed the lobby. There was no lobby. So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first, and a couple of seconds in the first plane hit. And all of a sudden it sounded like, I don't know where the subway is, but it sounded like a subway explosion, a bomb, and it was just pounding, boom, 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 and I literally thought the subway had exploded and all the cars just went on top of it. It was just so loud.
I was actually in the subway heading towards the World Trade Center right around Franklin Street.
And this, of course, is George Stephanopoulos, the man I sent the whole Cthulhu document about Operation Watchtower. I sent that to him while he was working with Bill Clinton to get Bill Clinton elected. And, of course, my friend William Tyree in Walpole Prison laughed at me about it. He says, Stephanopoulos, Clinton won't say a thing about that because he was in charge of keeping Mena, Arkansas clear. So Barry Shield, who I also met, could bring the drugs in there.
And after the first explosion, the subway station started to fill with smoke. The subway cars started to fill with smoke, and the subways actually stopped. It was that he was in the lobby of World Trade Center 1 when the first plane hit. And when the debris started coming down, he went back to go into the building to protect himself and was in the revolving doors going back in off West Street when he looked up and a fireball came flying out and blew out all the windows and threw him back onto the street.
Once the plane hit the top, and that's when the bomb was going off on the first floor. Like the plane actually hit the first floor. You would hear it boom, 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 boom.
Explosion that was in the World Trade Center at about 8:46 a.m. in the morning. The explosion came from, I believe, at first we believed that it came from the mechanical room. And then we had a series of other explosions that sounded up on the above levels of the building until we then realized that there was something wrong and there was a major problem.
What happened?
It was an explosion. He was in the lobby and the third explosion, the whole lobby collapsed on us.
What was it like? What was it like?
Horrible. Horrible.
You don't want to know.
The whole building just collapsed on us inside the lobby.
Was that a secondary explosion?
Yes, it was.
That was the plan, probably.
Yeah, definitely secondary explosion. We was inside waiting to go upstairs, and on the way upstairs, the whole fucking plane blew. And we just collapsed on everybody inside the lobby.
How much the first tower was coming down? Secondary?
I don't know about the first one, but I know the second one, it was terrible.
All right, we're running a little bit over today, and now you can see this whole War by Deception 2011, the shadow government, the shadow economy. It's up on thefreeamerican.com, and just for the fun of it, you might want to check out all the way down to the bottom, I'll have a jukebox up there. Actually, I don't already have that up there. Let's see, where were you in 1964?
Tookie.com.
Yeah.
When the sun goes down, bring the tar up on the roof.
1964. And oh, if that's not to your taste. That's it. I'm out of here. God bless America. Order a book. Get Mystery Babylon, folks. It will give you more information, more useful information than you can imagine. God bless you. See ya. Oops. Let me do this. Okay. Okay, what happened here? Right here. All right.
Call recording has been completed.
All right. Done it. See ya. And by the way, you want to order a book, you want to talk to me personally, my number's 505-908-9498. Be right with you. I'll keep this on for a little while here. And we'll get over here to a couple of things here. I want to get my jukebox up on the air. Up on the website. Alright, let's see if that did what it's supposed to do. Okay. What do we got here?